So we're diving into Nadia Hashemi's novel, A House Without Windows. And let me tell you, it starts with a brutal crime in this remote Afghan village. But it's about so much more than just a murder. It's this gripping look at what justice really means for women in a world that's built on secrets and tradition.
Right off the bat, these are the words we get from our main character, Zeba. They're poetic, they're chilling, and they are super ambiguous. She's found right there next to her husband's dead body, and this is all she'll say. So what is this? Is it a confession? Or is it something else entirely?
Okay, let's set the scene. We're in a small, rural Afghan village. Zeba is discovered in her courtyard. Her husband, Kamal, is dead, and she is the only person there. The whole thing is just this picture of shocking, up-close violence.
And Zeba's so-called confession? It's fascinatingly slippery. She doesn't exactly deny anything, but she talks about fault in this really strange way, kind of like you'd admit fault for living a life with someone, not for committing a crime. And it's that murkiness that just forces you to ask, is she a cold-blooded killer, or is she a victim who has pushed way past her breaking point?
And things escalate fast. Kamal's cousin, Fareed, just storms in, ready to kill Zeba right then and there. This isn't about getting to the truth. It's about quick, brutal revenge. She's only saved because the local police chief shows up and arrests her, basically to protect her from the mob that's forming.
So Zeba's story starts to get a lot bigger than just this one crime. It opens up to the whole world she lives in. And this is where the title of the novel, A House Without Windows, becomes this incredibly powerful metaphor for her life and for the lives of all the women around her.
The book actually opens with this quote from the poet Rumi, and honestly, it's the key to understanding everything that comes next. A house without a window. It's not just a building. It's a way of life, right? A life with no light, no hope, no way of seeing the outside world. And you see, for Zeba, the prison is just another house without windows. Her life before was already a kind of prison. The novel really shows us how so many women there are locked up not for violent stuff, but for what they call moral crimes, like running away from an abusive husband. It's just a brilliant way to show how this confinement is systemic, trapping them physically, socially, and even in their own minds.
Okay, so into this really complicated world steps our second main character. He's a total outsider, and he comes in with a very different idea of how justice is supposed to work.
So meet Yusuf. He's an Afghan-American lawyer who grew up in Queens, New York. He's a complete idealist who's come back to Afghanistan to work for the people. You can see right away he could not be more different from Zeba. And his whole Western idea of the law is about to smash right into a reality that plays by a totally different rulebook.
This is a little piece of advice a taxi driver gives Yusuf not long after he arrives, and it just perfectly sums up the complex, layered world he's just walked into. He thinks he's there to solve one problem, a murder case. But there are these much deeper, more dangerous threats just hiding in the shadows.
So Yusuf tries to start his investigation, right? But he figures out pretty quickly that finding the truth isn't about finding facts. It's about trying to see through this thick fog of village whispers, especially when his client, Zeba, absolutely refuses to say a single word.
As Yusuf starts asking questions, he doesn't get any clarity at all. All he finds is gossip, superstition, and these ancient grudges. In this world, what people believe is true is way more powerful than what actually happened. And the first layer of complication is straight up supernatural. The villagers all whisper that Zeba's mother was some kind of sorceress, a woman with these crazy green eyes who could put curses on people. So that family reputation immediately taints how the whole community sees Zeba and what they think she did.
Then a much more dangerous rumor starts to bubble up. That Kamal, the guy who was killed, had committed blasphemy by burning a page from the Quran. All of a sudden, this isn't just a domestic crime anymore. It's a religious one. And that puts Zeba in some serious, potentially deadly danger.
And just when you think things can't get any more tangled, a neighbor says they saw Zeba digging like a crazy person behind another house. Was she hiding something? Or was she looking for something? Every new whisper just pulls the truth further and further away. So after navigating this complete maze of silence and rumors, the truth, the real story, finally comes out. And it forces all of us to ask, what does justice really mean when the system itself is completely broken?
The truth is just heartbreaking. Zeba wasn't protecting herself, she was protecting a child. She found her husband assaulting a little girl named Layli. And here's a devastating detail from the book. The local language, Dari, doesn't even have a specific word for that crime. It just gets lumped under the general term for sex outside of marriage. Zeba's silence, it was a desperate attempt to protect this little girl from a system that can't even name her trauma.
So how did she get free? Well, it's not some dramatic, not guilty courtroom moment. It's way messier. Yusuf basically uses the terrible police work to his advantage. Then, in this wild twist, a respected religious leader who speaks up for her turns out to be her own long-lost father. Faced with all this, the judge just dismisses the case. It shows you that justice there is this weird mix of legal tricks and who you know.
The legal fight might be over, but the real resolution happens here, by the river. Zeba is finally back with her kids. And the quiet truth is, they aren't sad their father is gone. They don't say it out loud, but you can feel it. They're just relieved that the violence and the fear he brought into their home is finally over.
And then we get this incredibly powerful moment. Zeba sees Layli, the little girl she protected. They don't say a word to each other. There's just this simple, soft smile. But in that silent look, there's this profound sense of understanding, of gratitude and healing. And this, the book seems to be saying, is the truest kind of justice. Not a verdict from a judge, but a moment of human connection between two survivors. And so, that's the question the novel leaves you with, right? When the courts don't work, when the laws aren't enough, and when telling the truth is actually dangerous, what does justice even look like? Do you find it in a courtroom? Or do you find it in a quiet smile by a river?